Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time of day it is you're watching this video. Today we're talking about Canto I of the Divine Comedy. There are 100 cantos or 100 chapters, whatever you want to call them, inside the Divine Comedy, which is an epic poem. The first one is really introductory, and the other three, the other 99 are divided into three perfectly equal categories of Inferno, Purgatory, and Paradise. So heaven, purgatory, and hell. And Dante chose to start off with hell. So really, Canto One, even though it's in the Inferno section, is actually sort of introductory. It's not really one of the layers of hell. But one of the things I wanted to do with these videos, and the reason I kind of decided to do this is the Divine Comedy is a book or poem. I know it's an epic poem. Please, nobody come at me with that. It's sitting in a book in my hand, so to me, it's a book, right? Yeah, sure, it's a poem, whatever you want to call it. But there was some criticism of the Odyssey and the movie that Christopher Nolan did about how, well, it wasn't in the language of the day, right? We use modern language. Well, first off, it's not written in English, right? That's going to change. Second, Old English and New English ain't even close, right? So what English that was used in the Revolutionary War, that's just a couple hundred years ago, isn't close. And this thing was written 400 years ago, the 1300s or something. I mean, it goes way, way back. So yeah, there's a difference. Sorry, 1200s, written in the 1200s, 13th century, 1200s. And I'm going to read the first three lines so you can see sort of the point to why you don't do stuff in this sort of language in a movie. Midway upon the journey of our life, I found myself within a forest dark, where the straightforward pathway had been lost, which is not too hard to understand, right? That's pretty good. But if you have a couple hours of that, your eyes are going to glaze over and it gets weirder, right? So let me do the next three lines. Ah, me, how hard a thing it is to say. What was this forced, savage, rough, and strewn, which in the very thought renews the fear, right? So that nobody's going to follow that in a modern sense, right? It's great on the page. It's great in literature. It's great for me to look at, think about it. It invokes thoughts. It makes me think. But if I'm going to watch this in a movie, I'm not going to catch it. I'm going to tune out, right? Because I'm not used to thinking in this language. Reading it forces you to think. It forces you to slow down. A movie going to go like that. It's not going to work, which is part of why the Odyssey and others have to modernize the language. I don't care if you use a fake British accent or not. You're still modernizing the language. I don't care if you use an American accent, whatever. It doesn't matter because it's still not that version, right? It's not the old school stuff. It's still newer. Now, what is this first canto? So the first canto or chapter is really an introduction to the story. Dante wants you to understand what the story is, and it's sort of starting in the middle of life's journey. And it was kind of interesting because Dante himself was in the middle of his life's journey. He was middle aged when he wrote it. He was in a lot of trouble in Italy at the time. He was allegedly helping the church sell indulgences, which is selling sainthoods and selling forgiveness for sins for cash. Whether or not he did it, I don't know. I'll leave that up to you. But he starts off with, "Hey, I'm middle aged," and he finds himself lost in a dark wood, and he cannot figure out the straight path. He cannot remember also how he wandered away from the true path that he should be following, but he's in a fearful place and impenetrable and wild. And think about it, if you're middle aged or older, have you ever sort of found yourself in that kind of a situation? Have you ever sort of found yourself going, "Gosh, how did I get here?" Right? These sorts of things shouldn't happen to me. I'm a good person. I'm on the right path. Well, bad things get in the way. So as he's traveling, he's walking, he looks up from this sort of weird valley and he sees sun shining on top of the hill, light on top of the hill. How many times have you heard that in sort of modern literature? The light at the top of the hill, right? There it is. Uh, and he kind of rests for a moment. He begins to climb the hill sort of towards that light. He wants to get up to the top. And he's confronted by a leopard which blocks his way. And he goes, "I'm not going there. There's a freaking leopard in the way, man." Then a lioness appears and he's like, and kind of looks, worse than the leopard. But then a she-wolf comes forward and kind of drives Dante back down into the darkness of the valley. So there's obstacles to get to the good place, right? There's things you have to overcome, which kind of, if you parallel that to the real world, trying to do the right thing and still be successful in life, not always the easiest thing to do, right? Sometimes you got to overcome difficulties. It happens. Uh, and so Dante begins to kind of feel hopeless, and figures start to approach him, and he kind of has the figure that approaches him has difficulty speaking, as though he it hasn't spoken in a long time. And at first, Dante is kind of afraid. A stranger comes up to you, and they're having trouble speaking. I'm probably going to be like, "What the heck is going on?" And then Dante is afraid, so he kind of implores this creature for help. He's not sure if it's a man or a spirit. He doesn't know what it is. So the creature kind of asks him, he goes, "Well, I kind of was a man once. I'm not anymore, but at one point I was." So it's sort of like Virgil, who wrote the Aeneid, is sort of the character, and those he lived in a time of the lying and false gods, according to the Catholic Church at the time, and Dante was very, very Catholic. Um, so Dante kind of looked at Virgil as sort of a inspiration for poets, and he was certainly a poet. And the Virgil character, when he saw Dante was driven back by the she wolf, tells Dante that he must kind of go another way because the she wolf will snare and kill all things. And ladies, I'm not trying to draw figures at you. I'm just saying that's what's in the book. Uh, so yeah, I mean, and so he kind of is told there's obstacles to get to that good place. And I think that's sort of life, right? So you want to be successful, you want to do good things, you want to be a good person, but it's not easy all the time. It's difficult. It's sometimes easier to take, the purgatory or hell route. Maybe it looks easier to be successful that way. Um, there are certainly times in my life where it would just sometimes be easier to not do the right thing, right? It would be easier to do something else. Now, who is this Dante person I keep talking about? Well, um, here he is, sort of. That's what he theoretically looked like. Um, if the paintings are correct, that is the guy we're talking about. Here's the Wikipedia version of him. So that is a portrait in the chapel of, I can't pronounce that, in Florence, where Dante uh, was born. Uh, and now there is another interesting thing about about the Divine Comedy that I want to bring up. Uh, Salvador Dali was commissioned to do 100 watercolors, for one for each canto, which he did. This is the watercolor, an image of the watercolor. I don't have it. It's off in a thing someplace. And interestingly, there's actually copies of this that Dali did himself. So the way he made these is he did some wood carvings, and the wood carvings were used to transfer the paint onto the paper. And as he made as many copies as he wanted, I think it was like 2,000 or something. It might have been 1,200. And some number of them that Dali made himself. Dali being Dali, it's a little bit weird of a guy. Yeah, he is who he is. He burnt the wood carvings. So he made a bunch of copies and then he burnt them. So there's a lot of these running around. It's not an uncommon to find one of these on the market. I just don't happen to have one. But this was a watercolor of the first canto. So we have this sort of robed figure kind of looking at this cloud and the sort of saying, okay, which way do I want to go in life? And that's sort of what the Divine Comedy asks us. It asks us to kind of think about, hey, you want to be a good person, you want to be a bad person? Take the religion out of it for a minute. That's a question we all kind of have to ask ourselves on a daily basis: is, am I going to take the easy way out? Or am I going to take the hard way out? That's kind of something that actually applies to modern living. The Divine Comedy. That is the first chapter. There are 99 more. And after this, I will get into Canto number 2, which is called The Descent, Dante's Protest and Virgil's Appeal, and the intersection of the three ladies of Benedict. So he actually heads down into the hell side, he takes this little tour, right? So he's going to go look and see what hell looks like. So that'll be the next canto. But canto number 1 is sort of an overview, and it's an interesting one because it asks us, think of a lot of us want to take that hard road, the easy road. So, but have a good day.